experience. My question involves something that was mentioned a couple of times during your talks, and that is the role of the indigenous people of the Arctic and then that role that they would play in Arctic science. I know that many of you have had to deal with this and know the challenges around it. And so really, it's a general question for the entire panel to say that at a high level, at the Arctic Council, at the Arctic Science Ministerial, Indigenous peoples are included and their organizations are included. But in reality, what's needed is Indigenous peoples included on the ground where science is happening. And that's a little harder mechanism to make happen. And so when we talk about a co-production of knowledge that takes place between what we sometimes refer to as Western science and Indigenous knowledge, it really requires time and effort on the ground to make it happen. So I'm interested in thoughts on this. How do you see it moving forward? What mechanisms do you think might improve it? And just your general thoughts on the benefits of this, which I think, in my experience, are great and worth the time and effort to accomplish. Thanks.
Working with funding agencies and universities to allow people the time to really build relationships so that we're working as individuals to individuals as opposed to the normal cycle of research grants where you put in a grant, you wait a year to hear whether it does or doesn't get funded. You know, you don't have the time to really work to build relationships when you have to turn around a product in 2 years. So that's one. Another is working to find, for lack of a better word, ambassadors that can work between both communities, and whether that's identifying ways to encourage northern residents to become scientists through the I guess, Western science process and provide that perspective, or fellowships or some other opportunity for Arctic scientists to spend more time actually living in the North as opposed to just doing research in the North. So those are just 2 ideas that have been floated so far.
What is equally important is grassroots level interaction. So it's a beginning stage. Maybe if I can speak on behalf of Korea, we are trying to develop a program to engage especially young generation of indigenous communities who are interested in Arctic research, and we are inviting people. So we'll expect more participation to our program.
Yeah, as I said, for the ministerial, it was, of course, really high priority to get the indigenous participation. And we managed to do that, but the way we did it, of course, we invited the 6 participants from the Arctic Council, but we offered travel support. So Germany paid for the travel of all these indigenous peoples coming to Berlin, in total more than 20 people, and that was, of course, crucial. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to come. And then, of course, we thought that an important thing, and that's also what the indigenous people, I think, feel as important contribution to science, is indigenous knowledge. And that's the thing that we, of course, see as important thing for observations, also involving people in observation systems, people living in the Arctic, involving them in local observation systems. So there are lots of common interests. And I think what we managed to achieve, we didn't maybe achieve a lot in terms of that, but at least we built up some trust and some relationship with them, which I think is exactly also what you said. So we need to have that trust and friendly relationship, and that was really crucial. On the other hand, of course, we also had some issues that we were dealing with a scientific meeting, and we didn't really want to go into political discussions, but of course those came up as well. So, and that's also the challenge you also face with that. This is very different for the countries and for the indigenous organizations in the different countries. But of course, they also see this political perspective, which at the science ministerial meeting is not the right place, actually.